So Bernie Sanders, in an interview on, what is this channel? This is CNBC, gives an answer about deploying the quote unquote, what I would call the mob. Now, this is strategy, I would argue, is more effective than I think some people may think, especially from the standpoint of the way he's talking about using it. Second point, Democratic Civil War, and this is also pursuant to the first. I've made this argument for months now that there is a war, low level, in the Democratic Party that just hasn't bubbled up to the surface per se. My argument was that it had to be one. It's impossible that there wasn't one, just based on the dynamics of people who got in office at the time, not to mention the politics that we're discussing at this moment. Do you agree with Sanders, yay or nay? And most of the people in the Democratic Party will say nay, but there were some that will say yay. And it's at this point where the politics are being discussed and argued. Imagine for the moment if Sanders was at the helm of Occupy Wall Street. What would the world have looked like? What would the world look like? What would he have done with the quote-unquote mob? And how would he have used it to his effect? And what about AOC? Either she's lying to her constituents, telling them, yes, I want a Green New Deal. Yes, I want this, and I'm going to do everything I can to get it. And then she goes to Congress and doesn't do anything. Either she's doing that, or she has to try to get those things that affect her agenda. And how does she affect her agenda in a Congress that disagrees with her agenda? Got to primary some folks. And not just primary some folks. Also, from the standpoint of Sanders, you have to have a bully pulpit and use it effectively, even if it's against members of your own party. Working in tandem, one for the presidency and one for Congress. What they are talking about essentially is going after members of their own party. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is Soapbox After Dark. I can't sleep. It's 2:30 in the morning. I hope you guys are doing all right. I have to be honest, there's several videos that I really want to get to. And so I may be going through these a little bit faster, but it's also 2:30 in the morning. I've just done a radio show for several hours. Bernie Sanders, the mob. Now, when I made the point about Occupy Wall Street, imagine for the moment it's not Occupy Wall Street. Imagine for the moment it's a Sanders presidency. Sanders presidency. Hey, Bernie Sanders, how do you affect your agenda dealing with people like Joe Manchin? Let's let him answer. Come on. Essentially, the question that Sanders is going to be presented with is, how do you get people who are conservative, like Joe Manchin, to get on board to your policy agenda? I mean, you're talking about a Green New Deal. You're talking about Medicare for all. You're talking about all of these things, expansion of Social Security. Joe Manchin doesn't believe in any of those things. You're talking about eliminating school debt. You've even talked about eliminating medical debt. Not against it. My only question is, how do you get Joe Manchin to do it if you were able to keep a slim majority in the Senate? Sanders is saying, damn right he'll do it.
This country. Look, what happens right now, your average politician sits around and he or she thinks, they say, let's see, if I do this, I'm going to have the big money interest putting 30-second ads against me. So I better not do it. But now they're going to have to think, if I don't support an agenda that works for working people, I'm going to have President Sanders come into my state and rally working class people. You know what? At the end of the day, the 1% is very powerful. No denying that. Mm-hmm. The 99%, when they're organized and prepared to stand up and fight, they are far more powerful.
Now think about what he's saying. The mob. The mob. That's why I call this strategy the mob. And I mean that, not in a bad way, just kind of in a colloquial way. Whether it's Occupy Wall Street or not, think about what he's saying. President Bernie Sanders, who has been selling out stadiums, like filling these things up from place to place to place to place, gets in office and doesn't take down that infrastructure. It's not like Obama said, I got it, guys, you know, get the fuck out. No, he keeps his infrastructure. He keeps all of that stuff all around the country. and organizes events in various areas to put pressure on various politicians. He's talking about using the bully pulpit to affect his political will, not just by yelling and trying to glad hand, but using political force of having people going to various districts in order to go after the people who are not towing his agenda, including other Democrats. The question was asked about Democrats. He's talking about using the bully pulpit against his own party, and not just the bully pulpit, the mob. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. It's awesome. Why wouldn't he do that? He has a political agenda to affect. And in trying to affect that political agenda, he needs to use everything at his disposal to do that. The one thing that he has at his disposal that the other presidents don't necessarily muster, and don't muster it well, is political will. And hopefully, a certain tenacity, hopefully the tenacity of Bojo, in order to get that stuff accomplished. Especially if that means having rallies, having sit-ins, bugging the shit out of that particular politician, and scaring that politician that they would lose if they don't toe the line. You're not going to get everything you want, but you may be able to scare the shit out of them for some of it. I like it. I like it. I think to some degree we've been so jaded in regards to the way we do politics. This is not the same level of politics in the way that politics was done over the past 20, 30, 40 years. This is something different. This is literally using the public as an organized force against class interests. Oh, that's exciting. That's fucking exciting. Because you have somebody at the top, at the helm, that is willing to do that and organize that. When Occupy Wall Street fell apart, they didn't have a political arm in the sense of, it's like they say the left is herding cats, or the right is more organized. They wanted to have this kind of decentralized structure and all this other stuff. They were cracked down. Well, you might get your second shot.
In addition to...
And by the way, this is AOC. This is the second end of that. The Democratic Party has gone through the process of attacking lefties, meaning the DCCC and the DSCC has gone about sanctioning any groups, organization services that assist lefties in taking out an incumbent. It doesn't seem like they're doing it the other way, meaning Joe Kennedy going after, I think it's Markley's seat. But they are doing it from the standpoint of lefties. What that means is that AOC, under this policy, most likely would not have existed. Ilhan, Rashid Tlaib, people would have been scared to do business with them. And so the campaigns and how they ran those campaigns may not have actually existed. But that is the point, right? A heavy-handed goal of protecting incumbents. Why do they need to protect incumbents? Think about what they're doing for the moment. You have all of these people all across the United States, and supposedly in our political process, we go out, we pick a candidate. Now, the various candidates may be people who care about things in their particular community and kind of try to accrue support and everything else. The Democratic Party doesn't care about that. And in many cases, they would pick the candidates that they themselves wanted. In one case, telling the guy saying, yeah, you need to just get out the race. I think it was Steny Hoyer telling the guy to get out the race. Is that what democracy looks like? How am I supposed to accept that, right? You have a party that for the most part is being heavy-handed in trying to choose who they want as opposed to what the particular community wants. How am I supposed to accept that? Now, AOC is having a conversation with Lawrence O'Donnell. In this conversation, Lawrence O'Donnell asks her, hey, you seem to be spending a lot of time endorsing these people and everything else. I mean, does that detract away from your day job? He did ask that. Not in that way, but pretty much.
Your work in the committees and your investigative committees, you're also become very active now in the political campaign, actively campaigning for Bernie Sanders, endorsing Ed Markey for Senate in Massachusetts, and endorsing a new candidate, Attorney Cisneros in Texas, running for the House in Texas. You're spreading your endorsements around the electoral map. How much of that is something that is distracting from your daily work in the House?
Well, I put my work in the House front and center. But what I do believe is that these endorsements are part of the work that we have to do in the House. Very frequently, someone will say, oh, we can't pass a Green New Deal. We don't have support for that. Oh, Medicare for All is quote unquote unfeasible because we may not have support in certain areas of the House. Well, if we want to change that, then we need to be changing the math of the House. And we need to be protecting those folks who are leading and are taking political risks in order to serve the people of the United States of America.
To summarize, we got to primary some folks. We got to primary some folks. She literally just said on Lawrence O'Donnell, yeah, I take my responsibilities very seriously, but here's the catch. Here's the catch. And she's so right about that. When she was talking, I was like, well, yeah, dude. I mean, but that is part of her responsibility. She has told her people that I want a Green New Deal. I want Medicare for all. I want expansion of Social Security. I want to pay off college debt. Those are the things that I want. There's no desire for that from the dinosaurs that are there. By definition, if she's going to get what she wants, they need to get out, or they need to be pressured and bent into form, which means more likely than not, they just need to get out. Her point to him is, if I am going to get my political priorities passed, I need to have a Congress that will pass those political priorities. The interesting thing here is her, who has endorsed Sanders, is working in tandem to some degree with what Bernie Sanders is saying. She's saying, look, Congress needs to look different if I want to get my priorities passed. Sanders, who she has endorsed, who she wants to be president, is saying something similar in regards to the tone. If we need to run against other Democrats, we will do that. I will browbeat. I will use the bully pulpit. I will organize. I will be the organizer in chief, meaning I understand that there is no capacity to get my political priorities passed in the way that they have done politics for the last 40 years or so. So I'm not doing politics in that way. This is not about cash. This is about public will and public being sick of this level of corruption, this glad-handing, this corporate money dominating our politics and our political affairs. That needs to change. And it needs to change in a way where it's an instantiated change. Meaning not in 2 years we're back to it. But no, a win. A win when you change the system in a way that the public views itself in a different way. If you try to take Medicare away from people right now, those people will flip out. Same thing with Social Security. And one of the things that the Republicans are terrified of is that the moment people get Medicare for all, they will realize, oh yeah, we deserve this because we're human beings and we deserve this. Why not? It's our labor that makes this country work. Why not? We should share in the spoils. They are terrified of this. They are terrified of this. AOC has just declared war. And Bernie Sanders has just said, we will run against other Democrats, meaning we will challenge and we will go after other Democrats in similar ways as Republicans. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. The American people do not have representation. Yeah, pretty much. Whoa, hold on. Our guy is not wearing his fedora. What the hell is going on here? Yeah, it's getting cold. It's getting cold. It's getting a little toasty. I mean, getting a little freezing. All right. Don't want to keep this long because I have a few more that I want to get to before I want to get these small ones out the way. Like, share, subscribe.